Right, hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today will be a different style of video. I've decided why not try make something more vocal. So today I'll be talking a little bit about my car, the Lexus ISF. We are out here currently. It is beautiful, gorgeous view. Anyway, yeah, I thought today I would do a little bit of a different style of video. Without further ado, I say let's just hop in and get started. It's a 2009 Lexus ISF. I'll get more into when I bought the car, the story of that. It's a, I think it's a pearl white. I can't remember. It's I think they call this the Starfire White or something. It's a pearlescent color. One con from when I bought this car was that the previous owner said that when he had the car in a parking lot doing shopping or something, he someone keyed the car along the side and it goes all the way up here, all the way up to the front driver's side door, which is very unfortunate. Can't believe there's people like that out in the world, you know. It's just, why do that, man? Yeah, other than that, it's pretty much stock standards, stock factory wheels. You got the stock ride height, although I do want to lower it at some point. And it is a, as I said, it is a 2009 vehicle. A bit dirty at the moment. I haven't really cleaned it, to be honest, but it still performs like a beast. It does not need to be cleaned to perform like a beast, because we have a 5-litre V8 under the bonnet. Let's pop that. So when we open this up, in classic Lexus fashion, there is a plastic cover and plastic trim everywhere, but that's a 5-litre V8, believe it or not. Now if we take this off, this will be what the engine looks like underneath. Quite complex layout, if we're being completely honest here. To be honest, it does look just as complicated, if not more, than something German. But luckily, this is a Lexus, which means you don't have to work on it like a German car. And you definitely don't have to work on it as often as a German car. So we'll put this back on. Gonna have to figure out how this goes back on. There we go. She's all fine. Right, well, I say let's get her fired up and get going. It's not really that cold, but hey. So recently I also decided to invest in a cop radar, since I am close to losing my license and I need that to be able to keep making these videos. So I've got one of those. I haven't come across any cops yet, so I don't actually know how well it works, or even if it does work, but hopefully maybe in this video we'll find out, and we'll see one on the way and maybe we can test that out. Anyway, onto the driving. So today I'm planning to talk about my story about when I bought this car. It's nothing crazy, but I thought for the first vocal video I'll do, I want to give that a go and talk about the story of me buying the car and just anything else that goes nicely with that. So today we'll be heading out to, God, look at that view. That is just amazing. Today we'll be heading out to a place called Rabbit Island. It's just nice scenery around there, and I thought that would be a good place to take it. Oh, we'll get the windows done for this one. The people that live here, they tend to not like me, I don't think. But then again, you never know. There are a lot of people out there, including myself, that do enjoy a nice V8 roaring past their house. If I got woken up by a Honda Civic at midnight, I wouldn't particularly be a happy man. If I got woken up by this at midnight, I would still be one happy man. Anyway, I would like to elaborate a little bit on my story about the car and the purchase and my experience with it so far. Man, I'm gonna get distracted so much during this video. I can't help but love the noises this car makes. Oh man, you know what? Is it even worth doing a vocal video? So, about the car, since 2023, I was traveling through Europe in the early year of 2023, last year. And before this car, this was my second car. My first car was a 2005 Lexus IS 350. And while I loved that car to bits, oh man, again. So while I did like that car, the novelty of it wore off quite quick in the end, and it wasn't that fun to me anymore. I bought the car with the intention of having a high horsepower, kind of good, reliable daily driver, and the V6 in itself was actually a good engine. That wasn't the problem. Oh god, look at this. We need to get smaller buses around here. The problem wasn't actually the V6. The problem that I had with the car was the transmission. God, it's bright. The transmission was just... I'm the type to... I don't like sluggish transmissions, and sluggish transmissions for me can make or break a car, essentially, in my eyes. I had to give that guy a pull. He was looking at me. Yeah, so sluggish transmissions can really make or break a car for me, and I'm the type that I either want a manual or I want a dual clutch transmission, preferably. I'm not particularly fond of these 5-speed gearboxes, 6 speeds that are just average, you know, torque converter gearboxes. So that really almost ruined the experience for me in that car. And it also just, I never felt that great, particularly in the car. I didn't feel, you know, I didn't get looks from, I wasn't breaking any necks, and didn't feel like I was inspiring anyone to have a car like I did. And that's a big thing for me as an enthusiast. I like having a car that other people can look up to and go, I want one of those one day. And I just didn't feel like I was getting that from the IS350. So I came back from Europe. I spent March through June traveling through Europe. What's this guy doing? I spent March through June traveling through Europe, and the whole time I was in Europe, I was constantly making a plan, or planning out selling my IS350 and then moving on to something else when I came back. So that's what I spent my time in Europe doing. I spent a lot of time constantly researching about what car would suit me best personally, specifically about the transmission needs. And I wired it down to looking at 2010 to 2013 E92 chassis BMW 335i, ones with the N55. Now, as far as I know, in America they didn't come with a DCT, only in the IS model. But as far as I understand, we did have European imports here in New Zealand where they did come with DCTs in the non-IS models. So that was what I was looking at. I was looking at the twin scroll single turbo inline 6 DCT N55 engine, and I specifically wanted the N55 because I didn't want the maintenance of an N54. So I was faced with that dilemma of, well, I want a BMW, I really want a BMW. I would love the N54, don't get me wrong, but it's just too maintenance heavy for someone who's not mechanically minded and would have to take it into a shop all the time whenever it did need servicing or fixing. So naturally I was looking into the N55, as it has the reputation of being a little bit more reliable, a little bit more robust. People did say they had rod bearing problems doing high-speed cornering. I don't necessarily do that much high-speed cornering, fully kind of track speeds, but I do like to go for the occasional spirited drive, which you would have seen in some of my other POV videos. Oh, that sound is just immense. I love that. Speaking of N54, yeah, that's nice. I was looking into both the 3 Series chassis and the 1 Series chassis, like the one we just saw before, the 135i. Both came with M55s and both came with DCTs, and that's exactly what I wanted. So those were kind of the main cars I was looking at the time. I also had other considerations, like I was definitely looking at buying a C63, but again, I was facing the same issue of I don't really have the connections to want to own a German car and have German maintenance at the same time. And I was also looking into the Audi side of things. I was looking into the S4, the S5 with the 3.0 V6 supercharged, and they came with DSGs. Again, that kind of met my criteria. But again, with Audi's timing chain problems and whatnot, it falls into the category of the other two as well. So I was really left stuck. I really didn't know. I was scared of going ahead and just dropping the bomb on the German, specifically mainly the BMW. That was what I was drawn most towards, of course. So anyway, my Europe trip came to an end and I flew back from Copenhagen and I landed back here in New Zealand in June. And one of the first things I did was list my Lexus IS350 on Marketplace. So I bought that car in 2022 September for 9.5 grand, and I relisted it on the market in July 2023 for about 12 grand. So what I was hoping with that was obviously someone would just lowball me or something and I could get maybe 11 or so for it. And in the end, that was exactly what happened. About 2 weeks after I listed my car on the market, it was already sold. There was a guy from further down south. He was convinced to come up and buy it. I showed him all the receipts and whatnot. And roughly a week after all that negotiation was going on, he flew up to where I live, picked the car up, gave me cash in hand. 11.5 grand was the final deal. So I made 2 grand off that car, which was very good. I did do, actually funny enough, there was an exhaust place right there, that red building there that you can see. I had a muffler job done at that exhaust shop for my IS350. I got that done for 600 New Zealand dollars. So really I made about 1.5 grand on that car, which was absolutely perfect. Like that's brilliant, you know. So fast forward about 2 months after I sold the IS350, I went to a dealership about 5 hours from where I live, and I had set up a viewing appointment with a 335i E92, which was what I wanted. So I went and viewed that. It was a white exterior like this, and it had red leather interior, which was so beautiful. And importantly for me, it was the N55 with the DCT box. That's not a DCT, I don't know why I did that. And if you don't know what DCT is, it's just a short abbreviation for dual clutch transmission. So I went and viewed that. It was listed up for, if I remember, it was about 22,500 New Zealand dollars, or 23,000, around that mark. And I went and had a look. On the pictures it looked phenomenal, all dealership of course. And I went there, and to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed. It had stains on the red leather seats, especially in the back. The white on the outside, it had dings on the lower front bumper, like big, it had a big chunk about that big. It was as if someone at the dealership got f***ing hungry and just took a big chunk out of the front bumper, I swear to God. And then they wanted me to sign all these papers to take it for a test drive and whatnot, but at that point I was already quite skeptical about the you know, the aesthetic health of the car, or not health, what would you say? I was worried about the aesthetic condition of the car, because if the aesthetic looks nice on the website, but you go and see it in real life and it looks like shit, then can you really trust that there's no mechanical issues? So I told the guy at the dealership, I said, I'll take these papers home and I'll have a think about it. And well, I was kind of lying, because at that point I'd already made my mind up. I didn't want the car. I was too worried to drop 23 grand on that car, not knowing if it was going to bloody blow up on me on the way back. And of course the cup holders didn't work either, but I expected that. So anyway, after that I was kind of stuck. That was the first and only car I'd viewed since selling my IS350, and I didn't really have any other cars lined up at the time. I had about 5-ish cars on my watch list, but none of them were any cars that I really wanted. You know, I had the Audi S5 on there and the S4, but that was kind of like a last resort in case I couldn't get a nice BMW, a nice clean, healthy, good condition BMW. Yeah, lovely. I love that, man, I love it. But there was one day I went on YouTube, and I had on my YouTube homepage, you know, on the recommended page, there was a Lexus ISF review video, and I'd already seen these cars at this point, but I'd never really taken them into consideration, because I thought, again, you know, it's just an IS350 with 2 extra cylinders, right? And God was I wrong. So anyway, naturally I was researching more and more into the ISF, and it came to the point where I was spending almost every single day coming home from work watching Lexus ISF reviews. And oh wait, this guy's come to close the gates. I was gonna go in there, man. What's he want?
The gates are about to shut and get locked.
Up here as well?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
5:30 we shut them and lock them.
What's the time now?
5:28.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll turn around then. Cool. Thank you.
Have a good one, mate.
Yeah, you too. Right, we can't go that way then. Do I have to say it again? That is f***ing gorgeous. So anyway, fast forward, I start looking into buying an ISF on Marketplace, trying to look for a good condition, kind of low kilometers if possible. And it wasn't too long before I found this. So this has exactly 170 and 600 on the clock right now. It just hit 600. And this was originally listed for 27,000 New Zealand dollars. But by the time I was looking at this, it had been dropped to about 22, 21. So I start contacting the guy, asking for information, you know, more information about some receipts and of any previous service and or work that has been done to the car. And to be honest, he was quite good. He gave me a whole list of things. He gave me engine oil services. He gave me, there was already an X-Force Catback installed on this car when I purchased it, which was something that the previous owner had done, and he had the receipt both for the Catback and the install. And the car only had a few minor issues before it was sold to me, so I kind of negotiated with him, and we worked out that if he got a brand new, it's called warrant of fitness here in the New Zealand, which is basically just a test to test that your car's fit for the road. So we agreed that if he got a new warrant of fitness on the car and it had a problem with the front suspension, it was knocking as you were turning, so I think it was the steering linkages or something, I can't quite remember now, but they were also worn out. So we agreed that if he would get that warrant of fitness and fix the steering problem, we could negotiate a price after that. And this guy was based there we go, the radar's working, so that works. That's the first time it's gone off. That's the first time I've had KA band on there. That's cool, because I know it works now. I didn't see a cop, but he must have been parked on the side or something. Oh, there he is. I did say at the start of the video that I haven't seen this work yet, because I only bought this 2 days ago, and I haven't actually seen it in action. I haven't come across a cop with his radar on yet. So that's the first time I've seen that work, and I'm really glad that it works as it should. So yeah, this guy that I was talking to about this car, he lived in Wellington, which is the capital of New Zealand, and I would have to fly up to actually buy the car and drive it back home. So I really wanted to, naturally of course, I really wanted to make sure that this was the right car for me and that this was the right purchase and it was as good as it's gonna get. So I was talking to the guy for a solid 3 to 4 weeks before I even booked the flights and the ferry tickets across the Cook Strait. And this was back in January, so roughly around my birthday. My birthday's in January, and I was hoping, I really wanted to pick this car up for my birthday, on the weekend of my birthday. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to do that because there was still some negotiation to sort out and all the details and just questions I wanted to know. But I did manage to pick the car up on the 28th of January. I flew up to Wellington. I booked my ferry tickets back home and I booked my flight up. So I flew up to Wellington and I spent the entire day there because it was my first time in Wellington anyway. And I met up with the guy. It didn't really last that long. We didn't even really talk about the car. We just kind of sorted out the deal. I gave him the money. We ended up negotiating the car down to 19,500 New Zealand dollars. And I'll put on the screen here what that is in US dollars, but that ended up being a really good deal because this car has 170,000 kilometers on the clock, which of course naturally for these cars is nothing. Actually, I'm pretty sure there's an example in US somewhere that has about 700,000 kilometers or something. It's about 460,000 miles. It's nuts. So to think that this is only at 170 and there's one in the US that has 700,000, 170 is only just breaking in. So I wasn't even worried about buying this at somewhat higher mileage compared to this New Zealand standards for high mileage. I mean, I'll floor the car and I'll redline it. I mean, I redline this thing all the time and it just takes a beating and it doesn't stop. Whoa. I don't know what it is about this car, but it just loves to take a beating. And it when you do redline it, it feels like the car is made to do it, and I just love it. The general condition of this car, I mean, it has the leather is held up really nicely. It's got even like carbon fiber, aftermarket carbon fiber shift knob for this as well. And going back to the main point about what I wanted and what I was looking for in a car regarding the transmission, I found it incredibly appealing that somehow, I don't know how, but back in 2008, Toyota designed, oh god, high beams. Toyota somehow designed a transmission, an 8-speed transmission. It is a standard torque converter, but it shifts in dual clutch transmission times. From what I remember, Lexus themselves state from factory that this 8-speed in this car shifts in 100 milliseconds, which is just fucking incredible for a car that was made back in 2008 that isn't a dual clutch transmission. Because the shifting time, 100 milliseconds, is on par with not only the ZF8 of today's generation, which is an incredible transmission, but even modern day dual clutch transmissions. So that was one of the main things that really attracted me about this car when I found out about how good the transmission was. So I purchased the car from Wellington. I took the ferry back over, and I had about a 2-hour drive from the destination of where the ferry landed back to my hometown. And let me tell you, man, the first drive in this thing, sitting in 100k zones, Obviously, I won't elaborate if I was going 100 or not. But at the end of the day, I'm super glad I found this car, because I was so stuck in my own head about the German options, about the maintenance and all the cost of the maintenance, and I just didn't know whether it was a good idea or not. And then this car just decided to enter my life and enter my recommended page on YouTube, and that's what happened ever since. I landed a good deal, and I thought that's the one I got to go for. I still personally can't believe that I scored this car for 19.5 grand, because the ISFs in New Zealand generally, normally at the moment, the market sits at about, the cheapest you're going to find is 24 to 25 grand for one of these, and that's a high mileage example. Can we just take a moment though to appreciate how gorgeous of an evening it is? This is fucking beautiful, man. So yeah, at the end of the day, I'm really happy with my purchase. Regarding the comparisons between an IS350 and an ISF, if any of you are looking to upgrade out there, personally, I got recommended, what I got told was that the IS350 isn't that much different to the ISF. And when you compare 0 to 60 or 0 to 100 times, yeah, true. The ISF is only about 0.2 of a second quicker on paper than an IS350, which is insane, because you'd think that this would be quite a lot faster, considering it has 120 more horsepower and a bunch more torque. But they were quite good with the gearing in the IS350. They made it very, high final drive. So it just it just shot off the line. But the one thing I would say to anyone looking to upgrade from an IS350 to an ISF and are wondering if it's worth it, the one thing I'd say about this car is that this car has the soul that the IS350 lacked. And obviously, like I was explaining before, most of it, in my opinion, was due to the sluggish transmission. I can't deal with sluggish transmissions. There's something about them, it pisses me off, to be honest. And especially when you have a sluggish transmission that's paired to something like a V6, it's not the greatest combination out there. So I would personally say, if you are looking to upgrade from an IS350 or even an IS250, and you're wanting an ISF and you're looking into buying an ISF, you will not regret your decision. So I was asking a lot of questions on forums and on Facebook groups and whatnot about the upgrade from the IS350 to the ISF. Is it worth it? Is it a good upgrade? Is it worth the money? And I actually had a lot of people say it's not really worth the upgrade for the extra money. You spend about twice the money and you get not much more car in return. But that's not my experience with it. What I would say to you is the ISF is not just an IS350 with 2 more cylinders. It really isn't. It feels like an entirely different car, and you feel different when you sit in the car and you're driving it as well. Because it's also about the feeling that the car gives you, the feeling that you get when you're driving this car. It's hard to explain. You feel more sophisticated, if you will, and that's one thing I didn't get with the IS350. I never, as far as I recall, I never turned a single head with my IS350. This car has turned so many heads I can't even count. And to be honest, it's probably because of how loud it is, because a lot of people still don't know what an ISF is. They're still quite an under the radar car when you compare it to something like an M3 or a C63. Man, I'm gonna need new tires soon. But yeah, I want you guys to let me know if you prefer these style of videos on this channel, or if you want more POV videos. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you like more of these style of videos where I'm actually being more vocal, or you prefer the style of video where I'm not necessarily being vocal but focusing more on the driving and where you can hear the car and the noise and the engine, or if you'd like me to do a mix of those. And of course, if you have any other ideas for what I could try out, then of course let me know that in the comments as well. I'm open to suggestions, I'm gonna go get myself a feed now because I'm absolutely starving. I want food, bro. I want food. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you lot in the next one.